To Tony's Top Tips Workshop. First of all, I'd like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. And I know a lot of people are busy at this time of the year. I certainly was, but it's quietened off a bit now. We've got all the Christmas shopping done and we're just ready now to enjoy Christmas. Right, this video is it's a bit of a safety video really that's come about. Is my wife, she had one purchased for as a present for a birthday, sorry. And what it is it's, you've probably all seen them, and they are, I'm holding this with tissue paper and I'll tell you a reason why. It's a Man of the Woods, and what it is it's a scent burner, and you get the little cones like that and you pop them on top and you burn them. Now there is a little hole in the top of there, you can see, hope you can see behind the tissue. It's a metal plate that protects it. It had actually a cup in, but that's, she inadvertently binned that when she emptied the cone when it had dispersed, because it's like a powder when it's finished burning. And that has a hole in right the way down to the mouth there. Just get you in a bit more. There we go. And what it is when you burn that, they give you, I've got to be very careful handling this, believe it or not, that they give you a little silicone mat to place it on. Okay, so the first instance when my wife gets this, she puts it on the top and they give off you get different aromas, and they're supposed to be calming scents and what have you, but anyway, she put it on the mat on one of the units in there, oak units, and she lit it, and it looked really good because this actually the vapour comes out at the bottom and goes around the base of the unit, and it looks as though it's like cold mist, and it's smoking off at the top, but it's cold mist. So we thought no more about it. We'd used it over the space of a couple of days. However, this is where the problem occurs. She says to me one day, well, will you clean mat off, because it gets like a residue on it. It's like an oil-based residue. In fact, I don't really want to touch it. This residue was obviously coming off the mat, because it drops down off the rubber mat, the silicone mat, and then it actually flows down as though it makes it appear like a river, so to speak, slow moving river. Very good effects. However, when that oil settles on anything other than metal or granite, you have a problem. I took the mat up, and you could see where the residue was, where the mat had been, and I thought I'll just wipe it off with a cloth. No, my oak units are covered in cellulose lacquer, whatever it is they've put on. Believe me, it stripped it. It took it down to the bare wood. It wouldn't go. I thought, oh, it's soft, you could scrape the lacquer off, and I thought, no, maybe leave it a day or two, wipe it, leave it a day or two. No, it spoilt the unit. So hence I tried it on the fireplace, which is painted, and it's an oil-based paint, on the mantelpiece where this sits. What happened? It discoloured, all went yellow, and I had to literally use cutting compound to get the colour back. What this vapour is, it produces like an oil. It must do, because it's heavier than air. That's why it sinks. It's heavier than the smoke. It actually sticks to anything. I mean, it's really sticky substance. You have a job on wiping it off, and you've to wash these and in hot soapy water, well, we have to use a descaling agent to get it off. And what's more, I'll just show you in a moment. Can you all see that? That is the residue from holding that. Now, it's happened to me a couple of times now. I have actually had it on my fingers and I've washed my hands, give them a good wash, and I can still smell the scent of that oil on my fingers. And I've actually just rubbed my eye, it started stinging. So you must be aware that any oils that come off that, don't put near your eyes. They'll start to itch and sting. I mean, it's like anything that produces when you burn it. Certain timbers, when you burn them, you can see oils and residues coming off the timbers as they burn, which is. But normally you're not putting your hands anywhere near them afterwards, are you really? But anyway, we love them, and she's since bought another. That's another one. You can see that, and you put your burner in there, and you get smoke comes down there. It's like a waterfall, and the residue's supposed to sit in there, but it doesn't. It spills over. And then there's this one, which is a hand, and you put your cone on the top. You don't need a metal plate on this, it's got a hole in, and the vapours come out. It looks really effective, and some of these are really nice smelling, especially if you've been cooking something like fish in your kitchen. She has one for the kitchen, she puts it in, it just disappears. They're not expensive, by the way, these. What they're made of, I don't know, but they smell lovely. So I thought, what can I do? So right, so I come up with this. I made this on the laser cut, and it's made from 3mm plywood. That's the original silicone mat you get with it. But I bought some cheap round silicone mats that I actually use them on my induction hob, and that sits in it in the bottom. Okay, and then what happens is we use the original mat as well, but what we do is you sit that on there like that. Okay, I'll just tilt you down a bit so you can see. Right. Right, there, you can see that now. What it is there's two this shape, they're glued together, and then there's your base. Okay, pretty easy. We'll be going down to workshop, I'll show you it done on the laser. And now what that does is it enables you to, when that comes down, you can put this, we put it on fireplace now, it doesn't do any damage to anything. The vapours congregate in the base of this round here, but what we do is we actually hang it over the edge of the fireplace, so the vapours just freely flow off that, hence it cures the problem. But it would just, you know, I mean, there's probably quite a lot of people that's actually purchase these over Christmas, and they might just have it in one particular place on a lovely unit or an old unit, and they don't realise, believe me, with the stuff that burns in these, the oil residue that comes off, it stripped the lacquer off. So I wouldn't like, if I can just warn people just to put something there just to protect your top, you know, because you do not get a mat with that one, so people will just plonk it on the tabletop. Well, it looks good, but I wouldn't like to say what it'll be like when you take it off if it's on a polished wood surface. But this is my experience and my experience only, and this is what I've done to cure this problem. And now my wife freely uses it. I've another couple to make now, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down each shop and show you these made. But you get some fascinating features on some of these. They're plain ceramic ones. These are like a resin, and they're really good. They are when they're working properly. They're really good. So I don't want to try and put people off purchasing these. What I'm saying is be aware. You know, touching the resin. In fact, I've got some on my hands now. If I put that near my eyes, they'll itch like out for a while, burn and itch, and it's the nature of, you know, you can't expect oils to burn out from the cones, and then, you know, not if you get them anywhere near sensitive. It might be me that's sensitive to it, I don't know, but it does. The wife can feel it on her fingers as well. So right, what I'm going to do now is I'll take you down into the shop and I'll show you what I did to make one of these. Right, welcome into workshop now. It's a bit chilly today. Got extractor set up. I'm using LC40. As I explained earlier, I'm going to make the cutouts for the support base, and I'm going to cut the silicone out as well. I can cut that as well. And it fits perfectly then. So we're going to light burn now. I've already opened light burn up. Right, as you can see there, the green highlight there is the actual size of my plywood sheet. Right, and I've positioned it on the, you'll see in a moment, I've positioned it on the grid, and it's going to be, it's positioned by 4 magnets, 2 down this side, 2 down that. So I put each piece into up to the magnets and on the honeycomb grid, and it every time then it's set up. Now what it's cutting out now, I'm centralised it on the piece on the frame. Now if you go to the cuts, it shows the frame there, but it's actually no output, so it doesn't cut it, but it knows where it is. Okay, so it's centralised it, so I know now whatever shapes I put in there and move them about, it's going to fit on the plywood, because that's where the LC40 laser is centred. So that's where it is now. I've just to focus it on the plywood, and what we'll do is we'll go over there and I'll show you, because all I've got basically to do is, I mean, I cut this, it's 3mm plywood, and it cuts straight through it, and it's at 170mm per minute, air assist, and it's, as it says there, 100% power. I could do it twice as quick as that on about 80% power, so probably about 300mm per minute, and about 80% power, and do 2 passes, but it cuts quite good at 1 pass, so I'm going to utilise that. Okay, this is already saved because it's what I've cut on the other ones. These are just the 2. One will go on top of the other one glued, and then it goes on top of base, but they all come away when I show you it cutting. So we'll go over to LC40 now. Right, here we are at LC40. As you can see, I've got 2 magnets there and 2 magnets here. So that positions each piece that I put in set with what's on light burn. It's just the way I do it, and people might do it differently. So now what we do is we focus the laser. Put that down there. There is a little bit of a bow in the plywood because I've had them a while and they've been in the box and a little bit of weight's been on them, so but I've straightened them up as much as I can. So that's ready to go now. So what I'll do is I'll get the air assist on, and this is my extractor. Okay, right, ready to go. So air assist on, extraction there, and we'll just frame it, and then you'll see what happens. can see the little red dot inside. That's your lasering positioner. There we go. Back to the middle. Okay. So all we do now is start it. You can see the smoke that it's producing. It's all been taken out. You can just smell a little bit, but it's not to worry about in here. You can see it drawing it there at the back. And I'll switch it to the front here, and you can see, as I pass it over the bed there, you can see it. See it pulling the smoke in. And you need to get rid of it because, I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't cut with the, because this has like a passive air system. The fan blows air down, but I converted it to the air assist that like the Xtool has. And it's cutting through in one. And sometimes you'll find out, you'll think, oh, it ain't cut through in maybe ½ inch of it on the back, or, you know, well, the majority of the time is, if you check it, you'll find out there's more adhesive in that part. And one thing that the adhesive is very difficult for the laser to cut through. And you can see it drawing it all in there. I never ever leave the laser unattended, and everybody out there that has them, CO2 or laser diode or whatever you've got, never ever leave them unattended. If you're in the same room doing another thing, you know, whatever you're doing, but do not leave the room where the laser is operating. I'm going to let it cut this one out, and then you can see there, I don't normally hold this, I only hold it here because I want to show you where the smoke, how it works on a honeycomb grid. Now you find out if you're using a honeycomb grid that if you put the steel on with the plastic feet on the grid itself, it leaves a small gap underneath, and sometimes what happens is it creates a path for the extractor to put it, so you can just put it down and it will draw it through. I'll cut this one out and then go on to the next one. As I say, I'll just show it cutting this one. And you can tell that it's cutting through because if you look, there's no smoke at the top of the plywood, it's at the bottom, so it's cutting through, so the air assist is parting the actual path for the smoke, it's pouring it down and behind, and that's why the honeycomb grid's picking it up. As I say, the LC40, I like the LC40 it's accurate and it's good at what it does. Now you can tell that that's cut through, because if you look when this laser passes, you can see the inner part dropped and the part that I'm cutting out has dropped from the one it's connected to. And as normal, always wear your laser safety glasses. There we are, job complete. So lift that up, out of the way, and you can see that. One, two. Okay, and that's what it leaves. You can still utilise some of this plywood. So that's those two then. So that's it. I'll glue them together like that, and that's the walls of the unit. Clean cut, look, and even at 170 there's not a lot of charring on that, and that's the air assist that does that. So right, we'll go back to Lightburn now. Right, here we are back at Lightburn. As you can see, I've now got the base. Same, the plywood material I'm using, you can see it is green. So that's still on there, as you can see, no output. And that's, I'm going to be cutting to the left hand side of the plywood. Okay, so what we'll do is, we'll go over to the machine now. This is the base, and it'll be all come apparent. And then what I will do is, I'll cut the silicone out, and I'll use the same software. And what you'll find out is that when we've cut this, I will be cutting the silicone cover that goes, which you wash anyway, periodically wash, so it doesn't get impregnated too much on the plywood. And I'll cut that because that's a perfect fit for the inside. Okay, so right, we'll go back over to the LC40. Right, here we are at the LC40. What you'll see now is I'll frame it. And that's the area it's going to cut. We'll focus it in a moment. Yeah, so then we do the old focusing on the plywood. And then off we go. can always tell the accuracy on a laser engraver or cutter, and you'll tell that by when you're cutting something out like this, as if the lines at the end of it meet up perfectly. Same as if you, one of the test cuts of the accuracy is if you do a circle, and if you cut a circle, the two, where it starts and where it finishes, should be perfectly matched, and you should be able to turn the circle within the circle. If you can't, then it's slightly oval shape. I can cut a circle on this, it will meet up perfectly, and you can turn it within itself. It's that accurate. That's that one cut. Now you can see that is where it started and it finished. It perfectly matches. So that shows the accuracy of the movement of the actual laser. And if that was a circle continued, I'd be able to turn that within the template that it's left. Okay, so that's that piece. So then those are glued on, top of one another and glued on the base, and then the silicone mat sits inside. That's it, simple as that. And I put a bit of, when it's glued and dried, I put a bit of wax polish on, furniture wax polish, some beeswax. Okay, right, here we are back at Lightburn. Right, this is the insert now for the silicone. So, and all I've done is, with the actual outline of the wall pieces, all I've done is created an area of the inner lines and deleted the rest. So this is the actual template now that I'm going to cut out of the silicone. Now the silicone mat is, I'll show you a piece. That's the silicone. It's actually an induction hob cooking silicone mat. You put it on top of your hob, stop scratching it. You can actually cook through it with silicone in between. You can actually cook on an induction hob with a paper towel and your pan on top of it. It's really strange, but we use these. So, and I had some spare, so I've used that. Okay. Now you find out when you cut silicone, it's a little bit harder to cut even at full power, because of you can, you know, silicone moulds, you can put them in the oven, you know, for bun making and what have you, and deep in fryers. So it's good at protecting itself from heat. So anyway, I'll go over to LC40 now. But here we are at LC40 now. You can see I've put the placemat, or the silicone mat, that I'm going to cut a part out of. I only get one out of one of these. They're relatively cheap. And remember that when you do a frame on this, it's very difficult to see the actual dot, because it's absorbed by the silicone mat, because it's black. Okay, you can just faintly see it. I know that I'll go in there now. So my only option now is to, let's start the cut. Put the air assist on. And what you'll find when you cut in silicone like this, and it's only wafer thin really, I think it's round about 1mm, if that 0.8 of a millimetre thick is a mat, is sometimes you let it popping. And this is done at 200mm a minute at 100% power. Now you think that would cut it through relatively easy, but trust me, it doesn't, because of the nature of the material itself. Cuts it. And sometimes what you find out is you think it hasn't cut, but when you actually pull the two pieces, it breaks along the line. So what you've got to remember is with these silicone mats, or like the moulds, is they're made to withstand heat. You can see it's leaving like a white line. That's the residue from the cut. You can hear it popping. There's very little smoke that comes off this, but you can smell it, so you still need the extraction. Yeah, done. Just lift this up. I'll show you what I mean by the mat when you cut it. It's really difficult to pick up. See the white residue that falls off it? Like strange stuff. When you cut it. But it rubs off. And that's your mat, that's your insert. Okay, and it's a clean cut. So that's the mat part that's left, which is, it's no good to me. I mean, you could make some silicone washers out of it if you had anything. You always save the bits. I'm a bit of a magpie. Right, so what we'll do now is we will start to put the parts together. Right, here we are with the components now. So right, first thing we do is when you take these out of the templates, always mark them underneath, bottom and bottom, because they'll be a perfect match to go over. Sometimes there might be a slight discrepancy, so if you got them the other way up, you might have, especially if you've drawn them sort of with line drawings, you might be out on one slightly. So first thing to do is put some glue on this, and then that will be put on top of that. Okay, I use a tight bond. They call it a dark wood glue, but it's quite a good strong glue, and it's got quite a good tack on it. So push it on. Okay, that's the first one. We get that, and then we pop it on top of that. Once you give it a good firm press, it's got quite a good tack. Squash it down. Make sure everything lines up. As you can see, it does. A little bit of adhesive has squashed out, which we'll wipe that off with a damp cloth. Okay, and the next one is to do that one. Do the same, bit of adhesive, and place that on top of that one, and just as before, make sure, press it down and make sure that you've got it lined up, as you can see. Now what we do is I will get a wet cloth and wipe it off. Here we are back. So now all I do, damp cloth, as you can see, it wipes off. And it's all perfectly level. There we go. And I'll give it a light sand when it's done. That map then, as you can see, fits perfectly into that. Okay. Welcome back everybody. We're back upstairs now. I've come out of workshop. Now these are two that I've done today, the finished items. They've just had a coat of like oak stain wax, beeswax it is. I put it on my oak furniture that I have. This is one we've already used, so it's just, these two are just a copy of that one with a silicone mat in, so you can take that out to wash. And as you can see, if you bring them over to the edge, you just hang them over the edge, the vapours will lay in the bottom of this well and then drip off. So it doesn't, we've never had it since I've done this one, it's damaged the woodwork or anything. As you can see, this one has a cone on, ready to start to burn. What's in them, as I said previous, I don't know what's in them. They smell rather nice. She's got lots of different fragrances, and it's quite appealing actually. And they're just two different burners. That's a resin one, these are ceramic, so they are what they are. They're not expensive, but to say that they're not expensive, that did quite a bit of damage to the top, because the silicone mat wasn't suitable. And I'm just making everybody aware of what can happen if you have this type. You might not have this type, it might not even affect you, but if it does, just be careful and maybe put them in a saucer or something that stops the vapours from going over the sides, and then just let the vapours fall off the front, and you'll probably find them alright. Well, that's my little video done for Christmas Eve. It was only I felt I needed to do it because we discovered this, and we discovered it by accident really. I felt I needed to do it just to put it out there, a bit of information, a bit of safety advice. If you have any of these burners, you might not have any like this particular type, or in actual fact the cones, but I'm sure there'll be some people out there. If you're on a granite worktop or something that's glass, it probably won't affect it, but it's affected two surfaces of mine, so you know, it's fair to say that if you have these and you put it on a polished wood surface, it could damage it. But it's not, you know, I'm not trying to put you off buying them because we enjoy them. It's just that make yourself aware that if whatever you put them on, put something underneath. I just created this as a project and to show you what you can do. Well, that's the conclusion to my video. I've enjoyed doing it. It's been a project using the laser cutter and just showing what you can do with a bit of ingenuity to overcome a problem. And it's you know, my way of putting something back. I get a lot of information, a lot of feedback from people. Have you tried this, have you tried that? And it's great. I love the feedback because I can learn from that as well. You know, I've learned a lot this year, 2023, and I hope to be learning a lot more 2024. But so to everybody out there, my subscribers and my viewers, have a wonderful Christmas and a happy new year. And that's from myself and my family. And as I always say at the end of the video, you be careful and be safe, and bye for now.